Hello, welcome to the MOT Club test log analysis video. In this video, I'll show you how to upload a DVSA test log from the MTS into the MOT Club SiteCheck website, and then how to analyze the data. When you first log in SiteCheck website, you'll see your dashboard. It should default to your account. From here, move down to MOT Analysis from the menu on the left-hand side. Here you have two options, MOT Test Log Analysis and TQI Reports. So today we're going to look at the MOT Test Log Analysis. So from here, click on the View Create MOT Test Logs. Again, it will default to your account code, so in this case, SCT Engineering. So before you upload the test logs, you need to go into the MTS and download the test logs from there. Generally, we would expect you to do at least once a month, so you can select a whole month's period of data. I can show you a screenshot of that in a moment. Log into your MTS account and go to your profile page. Once you're in there, click on the test logs underneath events and logs, which you can see highlighted in red. This will take you through to your MTS test log file. Once you've got the test log listed in front of you, click on the last month's worth of data highlighted in the first circle on the left. Then click the button called Update Result. That will then filter the list to show you the 1 month's worth of data. And then down the bottom, highlighted in red, you can download the file as a CSV. So click that link there to get the file. So click on the Upload New Test Logs. Generally, the test logs will go into your download file from the MTS download folder. You can select file here. You can see we have July SCT, so we'll pick that file there. And then select Open. Click Next. Here you've got the option to upload an invoice file from your DMS system. This should list all the MOTs that have been invoiced in the same period as the test log. You can skip this just by clicking on Upload Summary, or we can go back and select a file. So we'll select a file. The invoice file, click Open, click Next. It gives you a quick summary, how many MOTs are in the test log, how many invoices are in the invoice file. So we click Upload. Just takes a few seconds, especially if you've got a large invoice file like we have in this case. Eventually you'll get a green bar, show the analysis is ready, and it will take you straight into the MOT analysis page. So here we have some summary information at the start. So we've got the total number of MOTs, MOTs without invoice, completed outside of business hours, and MOTs completed too quickly or too slowly. So I'll go through these in a moment. We have a few buttons across the top here for printing off reports. Sometimes it may be useful to print off some of this detail whilst you do your investigation. So the first item we'll select, so if we click on the line that says MOTs without invoice, what this does, if I scroll down slightly, it filters the list down here to the 4 MOTs without an invoice. So what you would do next would be to investigate why there is no invoice for these MOTs. It could be something quite serious, such as the MOT was completed by a tester without authorization and was not invoiced. For example, they may have completed an MOT for a friend or family member, may have been paid cash in hand to do this, or it could be something less sinister, whereas the vehicle was in several days. So you click the little arrow there, and this will bring up an option, and you can enter why it was not invoiced in July. So as I said, it could be in for several days and therefore was invoiced in August. So you could enter the WIP number if it's still a work in progress, or the invoice number once you've carried out your investigation. So once you save that, you've now got a comment associated to that MOT. What I've also noticed here is the time was outside of normal opening hours as well. So we can see this MOT was completed at 5 to 8 in the morning on Friday. We know the opening hours for this site is 8 till 6. You can change your opening hours by clicking on the Accounts button here, the left-hand side menu. and edit your site details and enter the hours you'd expect the MOT testers to be working in MOT in vehicles. So we can also enter another line if we like. We can also say MOT carried out early to busy period workshop. So you can see the MOT tester most likely started a bit early that day to clear the backlog. So now we've got this comment. It will remain next to this invoice for life. So should the DVSA visit you and ask for information on a particular MOT, you could search the box here to find that particular MOT. Click on the little arrow to expand it, and then you can view the comments and explain to the DVSA why the statistics are the way they are. So you'd expect to do that for each of the 4 MOTs in this list. Enter a comment, investigate any further that need investigation. Should you find some evidence of fraud, you should report that to the DVSA and put measures in place to prevent it happening in the future. Here we can see we've got MOTs completed outside of business hours. So I've clicked on the line there. The whole line has gone red. You may notice down here we're only seeing 5 records. We know we've got 7, so we can expand that to 10. We can see all the MOTs that were completed outside of business hours. The one that's probably most concerning, you can see we've got one here at 5:40 a.m. So that's a very early MOT. That should be investigated thoroughly to find out why the tester is in at such an early time. Is it possible for the tester to be in that time? Why were they in? Maybe they weren't in and they completed the MOT at home on their own PC without seeing the vehicle. So it's very important you investigate these, check the dates and times, click carefully, put a comment in. We'll move to the next one. So here in amber, we've got MOTs completed too quickly or too slowly. So the reason we got these in amber and not in red is because it is possible that an MOT could take a long time. DVSA do state an MOT takes as long as it takes. So you may have a vehicle that's come in that was particularly dirty. It was a large vehicle, had a lot of faults with the vehicle, in which case it will take the tester longer than normal to carry out the MOT. DVSA specify an MOT should take between 30 and 80 minutes on average. However, as I said earlier, it could take longer and the DVSA are fine with that. However, you should explain why it took longer than 80 minutes. Likewise, this one happened to take just under 30 minutes. It was only slightly under 30 minutes, as you can see, 29 minutes and 13 seconds. Therefore, it's really not anything too serious. You may want to speak to the tester about it, check the vehicle. It was a small car, it's a Ford Fiesta, a fairly new car, 4 years old. So it may have had very few faults on it, low mileage, very clean and tidy, in which case the MOT was done very efficiently and quickly. Some of the other sections here that we do highlight, for example, MOTs completed with an unusual or missing IP address. So this would indicate that the MOT tester has carried out an MOT on a device, possibly a phone, not connected to the corporate internet or Wi-Fi, and therefore will have a different IP address. It could also indicate that the MOT was carried out at a different location, such as a home address or another business, in which case you should investigate and find out why. It could be an early indicator to some sort of fraud that's going on within the MOT by the MOT tester. MOTs with a decelerometer brake test. This shows you how many MOTs were carried out using decelerometer. Again, we wouldn't expect to see too many of these. Depends on the type of vehicle that you test. The many 4x4 vehicles can't be tested on the road brake tester. You can quickly scan down and you can see here that the type of car being tested, it is possible that they are 4-wheel drives. Maybe the Focus should be looked at carefully, but then again, they do 4-wheel drive Focus, such as the Focus RS, in which case they should be checked out. Again, it isn't, normal for it is normal, sorry, for the decelerometer to be used in certain circumstances. However, you shouldn't see overuse of that if the testers don't see that many 4-wheel drive vehicles at your centre. So they should be investigated and monitored. There's also a gradient test here. So we can see one vehicle was carried out using a gradient test. This is slightly unusual as there are quite strict stipulations by the DVSA on when a gradient test can be done and at what location. So it has to be a certain gradient and within a certain distance of the MOT test centre. Again, that should be investigated and commented. It's very likely that DVSA would want to understand why a gradient test was used in this instance. Obviously, you can use the roller brake test. You can use the decelerometer when your brake tester is out of use, but only for 48 hours. If you're having to do a bit more detailed investigation on a tester, sometimes it's useful to look at things like the cookie data and the type of browser and device that the MOT was carried out on. It may indicate that the MOT was carried out off-site or on a device that's not supported by the DVSA, in which case you should investigate this and report any areas of fraud to the DVSA. For example, MOT's done on an iPhone, the screen is deemed too small by the DVSA, so they should be some additional training given to the tester to make sure they're not carrying out MOTs on their phone. Some of these items, such as the MOT's done too quickly or too slowly, just jumping back to that, one thing I forgot to mention is it could be an indicator that the MOTs are being carried out in the service ramp, especially if they're being done too quickly, and then just the brake test and emissions are being done in the designated area. So it is useful to monitor this to make sure issues like that aren't occurring. Again, if it's taken a very long time, it could be that the tester's forgotten to log off. Again, it may be because they've done it in the MOT, or not in the designated area, and carried out the MOT on the service ramp. Once you're happy that you've investigated all the MOTs in the test log, just click on the button up here that says sign off, and then enter a comment, such as all MOTs investigated and commented. And once you've signed off, tick the box. Once you're happy that you've investigated everything and it's signed off, you can then view your recent history. This will show you a list of all test logs that require signing off. By moving the slider here to include signed off only, you can then see all the test logs that you have signed off. So this is useful when the DVSA are asking you questions on a specific MOT. You can then open up the report that you've signed off, select the section you are being asked about. You can then search. If you've got a lot of data, you can search for the test number, registration, etc. And if we pick the one we commented on earlier and scroll down, and we can see the comment from the investigation we entered, you can then give that to the DVSA. It will show evidence that you've investigated the test logs as they would expect you to, and you can answer any questions they may have. So it's a really useful facility for those DVSA site reviews or telephone reviews, very quick way of finding the answers to their questions, providing you're doing the investigation thoroughly each month. As I mentioned earlier, we do have some reports across the top here. So we have a summary report, which looks something like this. So this will just show you the summary data. That up, which is saved as a PDF in this case. So here we just see the summary information. We've also got the test log summary section. So when you select a section from the table at the top, what you will see is a report that gives you just that one particular section showing any comments that were entered. And then we've got an all summary or an all section detailed report. This will show you every MOT listed, the different sections, all the various comments. So as you can see, there's a lot of data in the screen or in this report. But again, it's useful to take with you during your investigation, speaking to testers, looking up information in other systems and so on. You can export those either as PDF or as Excel. So obviously in Excel, you can apply filters, searches, and so on, which makes it very, very powerful indeed. Hopefully that covers everything from the test log analysis. We will look at the TQI, so there'll be a video coming shortly on that. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with your regional manager or give us a call at our head office. We can give you any support and advice you need. As I mentioned earlier, it is important that you report any anomalies. First of all, the first person you should speak to would be your AEDM, your Authorised Examiner Designated Manager, person responsible for MOT within your company. We can then support you with any assistance in terms of dealing with the DVSA, letter writing, make sure the right information is passed to the DVSA and the right processes and procedures are followed. So any questions, as I said, just give us a call. Thank you.